Conservative thing. I'm like, oh, well, try. But out of respect,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
keep it this one.
Hey, did everyone find somewhere to park? Great job. Congratulations and welcome to Florida State University. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so glad you are joining us this evening. If you joined us yesterday evening, did anyone join us for that one as well? Thank you so much for being there. It was a great night. And I love these because we get to know our local candidates, the people who want to serve our community in this big way. So we're so glad that you're joining us tonight for the Leon County Schools Superintendent Candidate Forum. Good evening. My name is Tamara Smith. You can call me Tam. And I am co founder of Women Wednesdays. I also work on community development for the Capital City Chamber of Commerce. And most importantly, I'm a mother of three, two school age children here in Leon County Schools, and one that thinks she's a school age child, but she's a toddler in home daycare. I'll be serving as your MC for the evening, and I'm very excited to welcome you to the second forum in a series of candidate forums hosted by a Women and Girls Collaborative in advance of the November 5th general election. This forum is brought to you by 14 women and girls serving organizations. So let's say thank you to Club 25, Cultivating Queens, Domestic Violence Coordinating Council, Girls to Divas, the Junior League of Tallahassee, Ladies Learning to Lead, L3, League of Women Voters of Tallahassee, the Oasis Center for Women and Girls, Refuge House, She Academy, Sister Girls, Survive and Thrive Advocacy Center, the Tallahassee-Leon County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, and, of course, Women Wednesdays. This is the first time that this many women and girls serving organizations have partnered together to host candidate forums for local elections, and it sure won't be the last. Tonight's candidates are running for Leon County Schools Superintendent. We will be asking a series of questions related specifically to women and girls issues this evening. Let's meet our candidates. Mr. Joe Burgess and Mr. Rocky Hanna, who is the incumbent. Mr. Joe Burgess has served as an educator for the past 25 years in Leon County. Joe has served as a teacher, coach, athletic director, dean of students, assistant principal, and has served as a principal at every level in K-12 schools during the last 16 years in his job as principal. In 2012, Mr. Burgess was appointed principal of Childs High School, where he currently serves as principal. He is married to his wife, Shannon Burgess, and they have two kids, Alana and Micah. Superintendent Rocky Hanna has served as an educator for the past 35 years in Leon County. Rocky has taught at the high school level, coached, been dean of students, assistant principal, and principal of his alma mater, Leon High School, where he served until 2012. Rocky moved to the district administration in 2012 and has served as Leon County Schools Superintendent since 2016. Rocky enjoys spending time with his family and good friends and loves watching his teenage daughter, Alice, compete in gymnastics. Thank you both for being here this evening.
Thank you for having us.
In 2023, the results of the only national and comprehensive research on the experiences of girls 5th through 12th grades was released by Dr. Lisa Hinkleman, founder and executive director of ROCKS, Ruling Our Experience. This study replicated a 2017 study and provides an opportunity for us to understand how girls' experiences have changed in 6 years. We will be referencing her study tonight with the questions and have provided you with a copy to read later. We also have QR flyers around the venue today for everyone to be able to access at their convenience. And that's just a little information that we wanted to provide for some context for tonight. Now, to introduce our moderators who are going to keep it flowing all evening, they will be asking the questions to candidates this evening. And the Women and Girls Collaborative really wanted to make sure that we had at every level representation at this forum tonight with a student, a teacher, and a parent from the Leon County School District. Our first moderator is Paola Verlaje Ramirez, a senior at Godby High School and a full-time dual-enrolled student at Tallahassee State College. She currently serves as she is a graduate of Youth Leadership Tallahassee, Class 20, and currently serves as the youth board member on the Oasis Center for Women and Girls Board of Directors. She's an active member in the Student Government Association and in the National Honor Society. Paola, thank you for joining us. We also have Ruby Gregory. She's a Tallahassee native and product of Leon County Schools. She's a current biology teacher at Leon High School with 6 years of teaching experience and previously taught at Montford and Cobb Middle Schools. Prior to transitioning to education, she worked in healthcare administration at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, or Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. Thank you, Ruby. And we have Michelle Griffin. She has worked as the administrator of Family Worship and Praise Center Church here in Tallahassee for the last 16 years, alongside her husband, Bishop-elect Quincy Griffin, who is the senior pastor. She is the PTO president at Roberts Elementary School. Michelle and her husband have 3 boys and 2 girls, all ages 10 and under, where 4 are currently being educated in the Leon County schools. If that's not an expert, I don't know one. Thank you, Michelle, for being here today. Now, ready for the good part? All right, here's how tonight will work. We will rotate which candidate gets to answer first, and for this first round, all questions will be 45-second response time. There are timekeepers that will assist with ensuring candidates stick to the time limit. I'm looking at you. And will alert you when you have 15 seconds left by holding up a yellow paper, and when your 45 seconds are up, they will hold up a red paper. Red. When you see the red paper, please wrap up your sentence and we will move on to the next candidate. Thank you to our timekeeper, Rebecca Gallant, for keeping us moving tonight. Now, I know you're out there and you're thinking, but I have questions too. Well, we have something for that. Everyone should have received a slip of paper to write down a potential question for the candidates. Volunteers will collect these slips of paper throughout the evening, and we will take a break and there will be an opportunity for that. And I will have the opportunity to ask some of these questions after our prepared questions at the end of the program this evening. We are also live streaming on 3 of our partners. We'll be live streaming from Oasis Center for Women and Girls, from the Status of Women and Girls page, and on Women Wednesdays. So hello, virtual viewers. If you have a question, please type them in the comments and we will add them to the pot for selection with our in-person audience members' questions as well. A big thank you to Women Wednesdays. I'm not biased, but I am. And to, I'll just go ahead and say it, my business partner and husband, Rain Smith, right over there. With our company, Temerity Company, we wanted to make sure that this was seen by as many of our citizens as possible so that everyone can be informed and get to know the candidates. So we were happy to sponsor the live streaming for each of the candidate forums in this series. Now, are there any questions before we start from the candidates, from the moderators? I won't ask the audience because they'll say, me first. Okay. All right. Well, we are ready to go. And I'm going to do a little, we'll pretend that this isn't happening. Here's some elevator music. Do, 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 do. And Michelle will be kicking us off with questions. Thank you, everyone.
All right, good evening, guys.
Good evening.
First question. What do you think is the most pressing issue facing girls in school right now? We'll start this question with Principal Burgess.
Okay. The most pressing issue for girls right now is opportunity and recognition. So in our schools, it is about trying to find places where they can thrive and grow. And that is, we have clubs, we have experiences, we have things that they need in order to express themselves. It is important that we give them more opportunities for them to have job opportunities for growth outside of school, but also places where they can express themselves and feel like they're part of a school and can learn. And also that we have teachers. Sorry. You read? Oh, okay. But teachers and staff who receive them well so that they can grow and learn and thrive.
Thank you, sir. Superintendent Hannah.
First, I want to thank everyone that's here tonight. You could be a million places, but you're not. You're here. You're here because you care about our community, you care about our children, and you care about these issues that we're going to discuss tonight. So thank you for being here. I think self-esteem is a big issue with young girls today. And what we can do to help build their self-esteem or rebuild their self-esteem. As Principal Burgess mentioned, we support arts programs. We've commit an additional $500,000 a year to have arts programs in our schools. With Title IX, we also push in another $500,000 to have athletic programs. So those young girls are getting things outside of the academic day that are helping to build their self-esteem and confidence.
All right, I'm next. All right, so according to the Girls Index, girls' confidence has declined from 68% to 55%. The biggest declines in self-confidence and self-perception and the largest increase in sadness was among girls between 5th and 6th grades. Why do you think this is, and what have you already done? And also, what will you do as superintendent to change this? We'll go with Superintendent Hannah first.
So it goes back to what I said a minute ago. It's the self-esteem. And I think as you read the list of, and first it's amazing we have so many groups that support young girls and women in our community. It's why I never left Tallahassee. I've been here my entire life. So it's us as a school district partnering with all of these outside groups to get you involved and engaged in our schools, and we can work together collaboratively to ensure that our girls are getting services they need to rebuild that self-esteem and self-confidence. I'm proud Dr. Michelle Gale, my deputy superintendent, serves on the council, the status of women and girls. And so it's us working with our community partners to get you guys involved and us working together to ensure that our young women are getting the things they need.
Awesome. Thank you. Principal Burgess?
Yeah, so I think it's, first of all, having conversations with our students. I don't think we ever stop having conversations with them about what they need. We also need to make sure that we are hiring teachers, staff, administrators who are understanding and who also will adjust and modify. The things that girls needed 20 years ago are the things they need today. It's not the same. It evolves over time. And so we have to be able to adjust with that and meet their needs. If there's a program that they want, we got to be able to make sure to give it to them. I feel like they should be the driving force of the things that they want. We need to have more conversations with the students about things we can provide for them.
All right, thank you.
According to the United Nations, 1 in 4 teens and 1 in 3 adults struggle to afford period products, especially teens of color and lower income households. The student-created and led Girl Flow project has been advocating to provide free period products to all students and all staff members in every restroom on the campus of every school, but that hasn't happened. Will you commit to making this a priority during the next 4 years? Principal Burgess, you can start us off.
Yes, and this is something that has been discussed at the district level and at the state level. what we want to do is we want to remove whatever potential stigmas that there are for anybody attending school. And so if hygiene products are that, and that's part of having those conversations that actually came out of, there was a young lady out of Rickers High School who reached out to every other high school and with the principals and the superintendent and spoke to us about this is a need because those are one of the things that we also are talking about socioeconomic status when it comes to things like this. And so we want to make sure wherever we can and whatever we can do, we can provide the things that are going to help our young ladies be on campus and feel like they have a home and they have a place to learn.
So Godby High School, thank you for being here. I started my career as a teacher at Godby 35 years ago. So thank you for your leadership. It's disappointing to hear that that plan is not being implemented as we had discussed at school board meetings. And I can assure you, Dr. Gale will be looking into this first thing tomorrow morning because that was a project that was very near and dear to my heart personally. If those things are not being executed in our high schools like they should be, that's a problem, that's an issue, and it will be addressed immediately.
All right, guys, next question. The Inclusive School Guide for LCS employees will be reviewed and updated this year. What changes, if any, would you propose to the 2024 guide to help ensure a safe and supportive learning environment for LGBTQ plus employees and students? We will start with Superintendent Hannah.
So in preparing, I actually brought our guide that I'm extremely proud of. We are one of few districts in the state of Florida that actually has a guide for our employees. And I'm really proud of this document. But it wasn't created in a vacuum. It was created with a lot of collaboration from many different groups, including outside organizations from our community that talked about this guide. I don't need to talk about state government and everything that we're facing right now, but Leon County is one of few districts that actually has a guide to give people the resources they need to ensure that we are being equal and equitable and treating people as they should be as human beings. Now, I'm proud of this guide, and if groups bring thoughts forward, we'll reconvene the committee before we pass the guide again this year, and with the help of the Leon County School Board to ensure that all of our students are being cared for and are safe while they're in our care.
Thank you. Principal Burgess?
Yes, so we've had that guide for a while, and of course, we have to make sure we stay within state law, but this is, again, talking to our students, talking to our teachers, talking to our parents. We need their continuous input. One of the things that I would stress that I would look at with those who have a role on a board when it comes to the LGBTQ guide is making sure that the people on the board are people who support every kind of student that we have on our campus, right? Because I tell everybody as a principal, I serve all. And so we need to make sure that the people who are in those board positions are people who support all of our students, and then have robust discussions about how do we handle ourselves as employees and staff members.
Thank you.
All right. So 24% of girls report that more boys than girls take advanced placement math and science classes, and 28 reported that they won't take certain classes because there aren't any girls in them. How do you think the county can help encourage and support girls' participation in these STEM fields? Oh, I'm sorry. We'll start with Principal Burgess.
Yes, that's okay. So first of all, I'm proud to say I have a robust female math and science department, right? And that is not done lightly. That is because that is intentional. It is important that our young ladies are able to see someone like them in math and science. We also, and this is a conversation as being someone who has served in every level of school, if we're waiting in high school to have this discussion, really it's too late. The discussion really needs to begin in elementary school, even beyond, before that, where we're talking about, we're encouraging them that it's not just a boys thing to do. Girls have the ability to do that, and also the way that we recruit and who we find to teach. Sorry.
All right, Superintendent
So
Hannah.
I'm married to a sixth grade science teacher. My wife, Christy, has been teaching sixth grade science for the last 29 years. And I think it's important that our young girls and our young women see models that are whether it's a teacher or an administrator, and again, at a younger age, to break those barriers where they do have the self-esteem to challenge themselves academically. We see a lot of girls at the school board meeting in elementary school because of programs we've embedded there that are really on fire especially about science, which makes Christy smile every night. But it's, again, reaching those girls at a young age where they learn to love STEM activities. We have Sci Girls programs. We have lots of programs, but it is starting at a younger age.
School dress codes often disproportionately affect girls, sparking debates about fairness, body image, and gender equity. What steps have you or will you take to ensure that dress code policies and enforcement promote gender equity and do not disproportionately affect female students? We will start with Superintendent Hannah.
So I've been in our district now for over 3 decades. This has been an issue for at least the last decade and a half. Girls dress differently today than they did when I was in high school 40 years ago. The things have changed. Things have changed. And so we need to be consistent. We need to have conversations with our stakeholders about what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. And then if we have rules, we need to follow those rules. And the rules need to be enforced. But having a sliding or adjusting scale depending on which school you attend or which classroom you walk into is not the answer. We need to understand the expectations and then hold those individuals and boys to that same level of expectation.
Principal Burgess.
All right. So, yes, if you've had a kid in school, dress code has been an issue, right? So first of all, you have to be very honest about what is the expectations. I will just tell you the way I've approached it at Charles High School, we've actually just done less to give more, right? I will tell you, if you get into, back in the day, we used to have how long your arms were, shirt here, strap here, this, that, and it becomes very, girls, they feel demeaned. They're being looked at all the time. And so we don't want that. We just want simple rules that they understand and they can feel like they're appreciated. And if there's an issue, we talk about it first. Should be punishment first. It should be discussions about the rule, and then we may move on to other things.
Thank you. Next question. In the Girls Index, 67% of the students have been told they are too loud and too opinionated. And, and there was a 21% increase in girls reporting that they were afraid to be a leader for fear of people thinking they are being too bossy. How can you address the lack of girls' confidence in their ability to lead? We'll start with Principal Burgess.
All right, you got a lot in that question. Okay, so first of all, let's go with the too loud.
Yes. Too loud and
So
too
there,
opinionated.
matter of fact, earlier today I talked about it. There's a book written years ago, Why Black People Tend to Shout, right? And so a lot of times there's a cultural difference. And so we need to actually really analyze that, right? How do we see each other? Where somebody may think you're doing something wrong, but it may just be cutting up. Also, we need to make sure that we're talking to our teachers and staff about the types of young ladies and recruiting young ladies who are different than you, but giving them leadership roles. They don't know until you ask them. You got to really go recruit them. If we're going to recruit for football and basketball, you got to go recruit for leadership as well. And you got to recruit people who don't look like you.
Thank you. Superintendent Hannah?
Well, I've been going around talking to high school student leaders over the last several weeks about the issue of school safety, and that research does not hold true in Leon County. The majority of students in leadership positions in our high schools are young women. Trust me, by far, it's not even close. So at Child's High School, at Godby High School, every high school I've been to, it's the majority. 90% of them are young women that have stepped up into these leadership positions and are really advocating on behalf of the student body in whole. And I'm really proud to hear that that's an issue someplace else. It's not in Leon County. But we will continue to encourage girls, young women and girls, to take advantage of opportunities because we're here to serve them. Whether you're a superintendent or a school principal, we're here to serve the students, and we want to hear back from them of what they need to provide them a high-quality education and give them the same great experience that I had 45 years ago.
Thank you. How have you ensured that your school or the district provides safe spaces for girls to report incidents of harassment or abuse? We will start with Superintendent Hannah.
Well, we've come a long way when it comes to reporting, and we encourage, if you hear something, you see something, to say something. And it's incumbent upon all of us, especially our students, that if they see something that, you know, someone's being bullied or someone's being harassed, that they will speak up and say something. We have an anonymous alert app that actually was started at Childs High School that we now have district-wide, where students, if they worry that someone's in danger of self-harm or harm to others, they can report that immediately to their school administration, and their school administration can act on it in real time. I grew up in the 70s. I went to Raw Middle School. It was not easy for a kid that looked like me. I have zero tolerance for bullies, zero. But I can't help someone if we don't know about it. So it's incumbent upon all of our kids, and I will say this too, kids are much better today than they were 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago. They're much more embracing, understanding, and forgiving of each other.
All right, thank you. Principal Burgess.
Yeah. So thankfully we've increased positions like having social workers, and but yes, I do want to talk about the Anonymous Alert app and why we made it a part of our school back in 2016, and that is because kids did not want to walk into the office. All right, they did not want to be known as the snitch, and you have to recognize that, which is why we made the adjustment of getting an app. I will tell you this: kids can hold up this phone, they can send me a message holding it behind their back, and nobody ever knew they sent me a message saying, I need help. The idea is to make sure that they have places where they can get help, that they can count on me, that when that help is needed, we can get to them. We've got to find even more ways to make sure that they feel like their voices will be heard, that we also will respond, and there will be action taken. So we just have to make sure we have to keep implementing that message and doing it in the right way.
What unique factors contribute to chronic absenteeism for girls, and what have you done in your school or at the district to address it in Leon County? We will start with Principal Burgess.
All right, so chronic absenteeism. First of all, it definitely has increased since the pandemic, but it is usually about kids who are feel like they are not engaged with school. And this goes back to, we have something called Club Rush, and I really believe in it. And that's where we, instead of like rushing for fraternities or sororities, we rush for clubs. Because when kids have a club, when they have a place or something that they own, they'll want to come to school. Listen, I was a history teacher. I felt like I did a great job teaching history. Kids did not come to school because of history. They came for all the other reasons, and while they were there, I was going to give them history. But we got to make sure that they've got places, they've got things that they feel like they're involved. And so that will help us, and then we have conversations with the parents and the families.
So you saw a lot of media coverage last year about the absentee issue, and I am proud to say that this fall our numbers are really coming back. Last year we were around 84% average daily attendance. This past week we've been 92 or 93% average daily attendance. So we're slowly starting to get it back. It's having teeth in some type of policy, but it's also having programs where kids want to come to school. Right? And so it is those clubs. It's also supporting arts and athletics. It's where kids get up every day and they go, I want to go to school today. It's not just simply the grind of the academic push and rigor, which is important also, but it's giving kids a reason to want to get up, get out of bed, other than their mother and father, get up and get out. That they really want to go to school. And as a principal, that made me really happy when I'd walk around, how was school? And they go, great, Mr. Hannah. It was awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
I came to interrupt your regularly scheduled program to say, gentlemen, we have reached about the halfway point, so we're going to take a short break. Yes, everyone give them a round of applause. We're taking just a moment. We're going to let everyone get a sip of water, and if you have any of those questions that you have written down on those slips of paper, we'll have volunteers walking around to collect those right now.
How long is the break? Okay. All right.
And this is a very short break, so if you need to grab anything, do that. We will begin again in about 2 minutes. begin again. I don't think so. I don't think they
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and get ready to begin again in about 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry about that.
Virtual audience, if you're just joining us, thank you for joining us for this important conversation. If you have questions, you can put them in the comments, and we will add them to the questions that are being turned in right here in person. So if you have questions or comments, please feel free to type them in the comment section. And if you are still getting refreshments, we're glad you're enjoying them, but if you can find your seat, we'll begin this second half by saying if there are any Leon County Schools teachers, staff, volunteers here in the room tonight, wave your hand at me. Woo! Let's give them a round of applause. If we have any Leon County Schools, faculty, staff, teachers, anyone, volunteers, I'm trying to think of more positions. The Leon County Schools Village that educates and takes care of our children every day, make sure you comment as well. We would love to show you some love in the comments, even if you're watching virtually. And I'm going to take personal privilege and shout out Sealy Superstars because I see Principal Clemens in the building, and we won't talk about why it's my favorite right now. All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go ahead and begin with the second half of our forum.
All right, ready for the next question, guys? Let's go. Do you attend as many girls' sporting events as boys? Why or why not? We'll start with Superintendent Hannah first, please.
First, let me say, this is refreshing. In a time when you have politicians that just go at each other and it's so ugly, there's much respect here for Principal Burris. We know each other a long time. Yeah, he does an amazing job. But my favorite sport to go to, was girls volleyball. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And we had some great matches between Leon and Childs back in the day. So yes, women's and the women's events don't last as long. They're more exciting. Go to a softball game is much more exciting than a boys' baseball game that can drag on and on and on. So yeah, I'm gonna admit it now. I don't know what he's gonna say because he has to face the boys, but I really enjoy girls' events more than boys' events.
Thank you, Principal Burgess.
So I'm just a fan overall. I will just tell you this, so I can speak on his behalf. So we are former coaches, but we go to events. Your successful leaders go to events. And listen, I go to the cold girls soccer games. Okay? I'm out there because our kids deserve to see us. And I encourage my staff. You don't have to make all 25 basketball games. Make one. Make sure that those girls know that you're out there. Make sure you know to support them. And talking about volleyball, our young ladies are incredible athletes. It is why it's hard to find us play them in a student versus faculty game because they will hurt us. I'm not going out there with them. No, sir. So, I mean, we're very proud of the work that our girls do in our sports.
All right, I have a little reading to do before we get to the question on this one. According to the national report, The Business Case for Childcare, the cost of childcare exceeds the affordability level of 80% of families, and only 13% of families can afford a childcare program rated as high quality. Women are still in the primary role, women are still the primary people impacted by this, and the lack of affordable childcare leads women to quit their jobs, interrupt their professional advancement, as well as higher rates of absenteeism and many other things. Would you consider opening district-wide affordable childcare centers for the children of your staff, and/or would you consider providing childcare subsidies? We'll start with Principal Burgess.
Okay, so childcare centers, yes, and you have to go beyond that. It's actually the time. For a lot of I'm high school, so we start early, right? It is dark outside when we start. But It is the time, like actually having our early learning centers, our EDEP programs open up 6:30, 6:45. Why? Because many of them have to be on duty. There are things, or they have to get prepared in their classrooms before they receive their students, right? There's a lot of hustle and bustle for particularly moms trying to get kids together for school. Part of that is making sure we can help accommodate them. And then also giving a discount on that, because that is one of the biggest household expenses that you have is childcare. And so if we can help solve that problem, we can help the bottom line for our employees.
So I read an article recently where the state of Florida pays $3,000 per child for early learning and $30,000 per inmate in our prison system. That's unacceptable. We can and we must do better. When I took office, we created a Littles to Leaders program where we work with young parents, especially young mothers, about the importance of those developmental years of 0 to 5. Trojan Tots at Lincoln High School actually has a program like that we're looking to replicate at other schools to help our employees with childcare issues. But until the state starts putting up money, one other thing we've done locally is we have an all-day pre-K program. We used Title I funds to support the other 3 hours that parents can't afford. It saves families about $425 a month. So we're doing as much as we can locally, but the state of Florida has to make this a priority.
Only 39% of girls feel like they belong at their school, and only 43% feel like people at their school really care about them. We know that when girls feel like they belong and someone cares about them, they are far more likely to attend school and graduate. How have you encouraged partnerships and mentoring programs that can help girls feel connected? Superintendent?
So like I mentioned earlier, Dr. Michelle Gale, my deputy superintendent, is on the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. We're having conversations with Kelly Audie, the director of the Oasis Center for Girls. I personally going to visit Pace Center for Girls. We have Girls on the Run programs. My wife, Christy, was a Girls on the Run coach for a long time. They're on our campuses free of charge because they're in our Title I schools. So it's to bring in outside partners, to have those conversations and to have those programs that are so fundamentally important where girls are feeling valued and they do want to come to school. And it's about building relationships. It's about building relationships, whether you're a school principal or a superintendent, to where they do feel valued and appreciated. And then there is some self-worth. That's fundamental. But that's about engaging with them, getting involved, and being there for them, and showing up. And showing up's a big deal.
Principal Burgess.
Yes. So first of all, so even if we feel like we have lots of programs, it means that we need to offer more or actually make them better, right? When you have numbers like that, that just means we just need to identify better. We need to make sure this goes back to having a conversation with the students, but it also goes back to the opportunities that we provide. We need to ask them, what kind of clubs do they want to have? Right? What's the thing that's going to help you come back to school? But we also need to make sure that we're talking to our partners at the colleges who are training our teachers. When we get our teachers in who may come from the outside and not come from the College of Education, like talking with our girls and actually for them, making sure your lessons relate, making sure that we give them space, we hear them, that we make sure that the programs we install are for them.
Thank you.
What policies are in place or should be in place to ensure the district is retaining and promoting female employees? Well, first we'll hear from Superintendent Hannah.
So I'd like to get some of those research questions and test them in Leon County, to be honest with you, because I think our numbers are better than that. So I'm proud to say that over 50% of our school principals are women. My highest levels of administrators, with that's Dr. Gale as the deputy superintendent, Dina McAllister over secondary schools and school management, our chief financial officer, Kathy Sanders. I have a lot of females in key leadership positions. And so it's more than just talk, it's actions and putting people into those places where other people see women in the highest levels of your organization, where they go, I can do that. I can be that. Our school board attorney is Opal McKinney, is a woman. 3 of our 5 school board members are women. Women rock Leon County. So again, I'm really proud of that, but we can always do better.
Thank you. Principal Burgess.
Yeah, so this goes back to one of our previous questions, and I'll just say this again. This really goes back to us instilling things in our young ladies before they even get to school. Like, we really need to be having these conversations about what they can do, what they can be, and also making sure that the people who are around them will help nurture them and help them grow. You have to be intentional about that. You have to be intentional. You have to say, these are things that we're going to try to do. Just like when we were talking about the math and the science. I have teachers, they go to trainings routinely to make sure that they know strategies to help girls get in there. Why? Because there's such brain power. If you look at my top 50 students, most of them are female. But it is making sure that they will believe that opportunities are there for them and that they will thrive in those programs.
How have you or will you work with teachers to create classroom environments that are free from implicit race and gender bias that limits girls, especially girls of color, from excelling in school? Principal Burgess will answer first.
So that was what I was talking before about the training, right? You have to, intentionally, you have to talk about it and say, how are we going to receive our kids, right? One of the things is, as a teacher, you're going to teach someone different from you. And how do you work with them? How do you make sure that they know and feel that you love them? 'Cause that's one of the things, they got to feel like you love them, even when you're having to get on them, that you still love them, an authentic love. And so there are trainings that we have to do, and it can't be a one-year training. These things you have to do over time. And you have to keep refining your skills, and you have to keep adjusting. Because, as I said before, the kids that we had 20 years ago are not the kids that we have today. And so you have to have that ability to adjust over time and be willing to adjust if we want to be responsive to our students.
Superintendent
So when
Henry.
I was principal at Leon, one thing I would do during pre-planning, we would load all of our faculty up on school buses and we would drive through our school district because I felt like it was important for our teachers to see where our kids came from. And yeah, we pulled through Bob and Brook, we pulled through Waverly Hills, and we worked our way south end to Orange Avenue. But it gave teachers a perspective that, wow, I didn't realize that. Because all they see is the kid when they come into school. They have no idea some of the things that they're dealing with, or the neighborhoods that they're living in, or the challenges that they're facing. So it was important for me to get our faculty, where they drove around before the kids entered school that year, that we went through our neighborhoods, and our faculty could have a good understanding of exactly where these students were coming from.
All right, thank you. It is my understanding that there is no formal maternity leave policy for Leon County Schools. As it stands, teachers may use sick leave with the physician's note and a max of 6 days of annual leave. Otherwise, anytime a new mother takes off of work, it is unpaid. Would you be open to discussing a formal paid maternity leave policy for district employees? And if so, where would you begin that discussion? We'll start with Principal Burgess.
Oh, okay. First of all, this is discussions that you have to have with the union. We have to have, and you have to have real dialogue where we're talking about the cost factor, right? It's the number one thing. There's a cost factor there, but we have to look at what we can provide, because we know that many times when these things are not in place, we may drive our teachers to leave the profession. Understanding that them being a mother and taking care of their child, especially in the early years, is fundamental. We have to receive that. They are allowed 2 years and 5 years to take off, but we do have to find creative ways of helping them feel like we see them and value them as employees, especially those who've taken on motherhood.
So we are in negotiations currently with the teachers union, and this is one of the issues we're discussing. And we're looking to see what the impact is, because it's really paternal leave. It's not just the mother; it's the parents, right? Both parents. And so we're looking to see how many people would be impacted, what the financial costs would be associated with having a policy like this. But this has been an ongoing conversation, and if we come to an agreement where they think, you know what, it is worth that investment, that we model after some other school districts or other government and agencies, then we'll certainly do that. But as part of that negotiation process with all three of our unions.
I believe that's all the questions we have up here. I think we got somebody coming up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But dun dun dun, that is not the end of our questions. But it's time for the lightning round. Okay, yeah, I know. Forums are not usually that exciting. Let me pull it back. It is time for the lightning round. So for the next set of questions, I will be asking them. So, hi. The next round of questions is we would like for you to limit your responses to just one sentence. Now, that's difficult for any human being, but for educators, we might need to give you the Latin origin first before we, no. So just one sentence, do your best. I know you can do it. I used to be a Leon County schools teacher, can you tell? All righty. Superintendent Hannah, do you believe sexism is a problem in our community, including the school districts?
Unfortunately, I think it's a problem in every community. But when we need to address it, and we need to bring people to the table to tell us how we can do better. But to think sexism isn't alive and well in every aspect of our society is simply putting your head in the sand.
Principal Burgess?
It's real. How much and how it's different everywhere, but that doesn't mean you attack it by being intentional. Our conversations as young ladies and young men are growing up are very important, and we need to have that dialogue from the time that we're at TMH moving into school.
Principal Burgess, we're starting with you.
Okay.
What is one thing you've learned from the forum today that you weren't aware of prior to attending?
Yeah, I didn't know. So it was the 67% about kids feeling like they're too loud. I didn't know that it was that high of a number, but that's a real one, and that's why I talked about sometimes that's a cultural relevance, like kids. And I've been one of those kids. I was a military brat in a foreign country, right? And so like sometimes you feel like people don't understand you. Right? Like I'm just like everybody else. Maybe I do it a little bit differently. And so it is, that was more than a long one sentence. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Superintendent Hannah?
It was some of the research and the data from that study. And again, I'm going to be interested to see what it looks like in Leon County. And I'm going to task our folks to doing that because it's unacceptable if our young women are not wanting to come to school at that rate. That's alarming.
Superintendent Hannah, do you support the construction of a new high school in North Tallahassee?
One day that will happen. I'm very proud that we've committed over $180 million of capital improvement projects in Title I schools. We will be 100% debt-free in 2028 when hopefully I leave office. And then if the new school needs to be in the Northeast, then that board and that superintendent will certainly build one. Principal
Burgess?
Growth pattern says that will eventually have to be the case. It's just like the same thing. House was built because Leon and Lincoln were at capacity. I mean, if you remember being in the hallways back then, it was 2,700. Those schools are not built for that. So.
Superintendent Hannah, how have you used your leadership position to encourage the observance of Women's History Month in March?
How have I used my experience?
How have you used your leadership position to encourage the observance of Women's History Month in March?
So many months have we observe many different things, but Women's History Month is certainly one of the important ones that we do observe. As a former history teacher, I think I've learned a lot about the importance of making sure that we were recognizing all these different groups, including Women's History Month.
Principal Burgess?
So part of our instruction is talking about women's history, and so that is something that you talk formally with your staff about making sure that you recognize inside your buildings.
Thank you very much for answering questions during that lightning round. We will have just a few moments to ask some questions from the audience. And I'll start with Superintendent Hannah. I'm sure you haven't been called Principal Hannah in quite a while.
Those were great years, too. Those were wonderful years.
In 2015, Dr. Hinkleman asked the district to allow the girls to participate in her 2017 Girls Index study. The district declined, so she didn't ask again in 2022. Would you allow girls to participate next time?
I have to admit, I'm not that familiar with this issue, but I think we have a process in place at our district, and we'll get with Dr. Gale and have a conversation. And I'm a yes person. I don't like to say no to anything. And so if we can help do some more research and our girls can help in that effort, then absolutely yes.
Principal Burgess, do you have a response?
I think it's just understanding what the particular study is for, right? Having conversations and opening it up and making sure that even the study has great participants so that it gets feedback that we think can come back to the district and help us.
Our next question from the audience will go to, well, let me read it, and then I'll give you gentlemen both an opportunity to respond. With the influx of refugee girls and children in the Leon County school system, what resources and services are there to increase catering to them, ensuring that they are not left out? Principal Burgess, you
Oh, okay,
can
I'm sorry, I
respond
apologize.
first.
I'm sorry. Are we short sentences or we can elaborate? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so first of all, we do have, so there are curriculum services that we have to provide when somebody is a speaker of another language coming from somewhere else. And so one of the things that we do, and I can't say it's consistently done at each school, but one of the things that we do is that we do have a night where we bring services in from the community that helps the families. So because with those families, you're not only helping the students, you have to help the family. And it could be everything from where they can have people who can help them translate documents to just learning, just getting the lights turned on. I mean, there's all kind of services that you have to provide, and you have to make sure that your teachers who are with them are flexible, understanding. Everything to taping words on the board, like because we're trying to help them, making sure we have students that help receive them in school to make sure that they are immersed into the school fully.
And so we have a district level position that works with these students. We have over 50 languages that are spoken in our schools in Leon County, which is really hard. It's hard to believe. But we work with local, especially a lot of our local churches who are sponsoring these families to ensure that they and their children have everything they need to thrive while they're under our care. But we have committed resources. We have a district level position that works with these families across the district to ensure that we're setting them up for success.
Thank you both. Another question from the audience. Are there male-inspired initiatives or programs or clubs geared towards advocating for young girls? How are they actively serving us as allies and advocates in the schools and communities? We'll start with Superintendent
I'm
Hannah.
not sure I understand the question. Read the question again.
I'll read that again. Are there male-inspired initiatives or programs or clubs geared towards advocating for young girls? How are they actively serving us as allies and advocates in the schools and communities?
Are there male-led clubs in our schools that are supporting female students? Is that the question?
I believe so.
We have a lot of co-ed organizations where the males do support the females in the same club or in the same activity. It could be an academic organization, or it could be an extracurricular or co-curricular group that works together. I don't know that we have a male club that specifically is formed to support female students in our schools, but they a lot of times work together.
Principal Burgess?
Yeah, so I think it said male-inspired initiatives. Is that the first part of the question?
Male-inspired initiatives, programs, or clubs?
Male-inspired initiatives. So,
Who wrote that question?
okay, yeah. I was actually going to ask for some clarification, but male-inspired initiatives. So I'm just trying to think of it. I mean, as far as when we're doing things on campus, we look at the needs of the students, and then we institute programs to help out any of the types of students, you know, the demographics when you're trying to help them. I mean, I was thinking of something like, you know, there are, I mean, I guess we allow, I mean, we don't have a male club that a female could not join. I could say that. Sorry, I was all around that.
Congratulations, your question might have been the one to stump everyone. All right, now I know we have a couple more questions. Do we have time for one more? One more, okay. Okay. All right, our final question for the night. What specific programs, trainings, or courses slash solutions would you assist in implementing to help girls build up their self-esteem? And we'll start with Superintendent Hannah.
Well, one thing I mentioned earlier is we need to have conversations with the girls to see how we can support them, what would make them feel supported. I'm proud of the fact that we've tripled the number of career technical programs in our schools that I mentioned earlier. We have girls now that are entering welding programs and other non-traditional programs. We started a firefighter academy at Leon High School. We have an EMT program at Godby High School. So it's exposing young women and girls to a lot more of a variety of professions that gain their interest. And we're seeing girls doing amazing things in these programs. It's something we're really, really proud of. So on one end of the spectrum, we have our early learning initiative and working with young mothers. And on the other end of the spectrum, tripling the number of career technical opportunities we have in our high schools.
Principal Burgess?
So this is very similar to before, but I do believe in this. So these conversations start before you even get in school. We're talking about building self-esteem, right? And that actually also means that we need to help our families. So, you know, people are having kids. It's not like you get a booklet that tells you, hey, here's everything, right? So I think it's really important that we as a school district, that we reach out to our parents and say, make sure you're having these conversations with your young ladies even before they arrive to school. It is then on us as they are in school that we continue to have those conversations. When we say the words, we believe you can be anything, we need to mean that. Like, you can be anything. And we need to make sure that we're exposing them, that they just don't go, I mean, you know, there are certain female-dominated industries, but let's take them to some male-dominated industries and say, you can actually do this, and we believe in you.
Now, like I said, I was a Leon County schools teacher, and when I gave tests, sometimes I gave one more question at the end, and I called it a what? A bonus. So, for extra points, gentlemen. Superintendent Hannah, this question is directed towards you. One last question, a bonus question. As a recent Leon County Schools graduate, and this is coming from the audience, I disagree that students are better or kinder to each other due to social media and cyberbullying. What data makes you claim they are?
So that's a great question. It's just my experience over the last 3 decades, one, having been a product of the Leon County School District, and two, having watched kids over the last 30 plus years. The question is fair, though, that these are issues, right? And there are bullies in all parts of our society, adults and teenagers, right? We have zero tolerance for bullying, whether it's bullying coming out of your mouth or being bullied with these things as well. And if so, if that's the tact you're going to take, there will be severe consequences. But it's in my humble opinion, having been in this profession and watched kids for the last 3 decades, that they are much more accepting of others, all in all, than they were back in the 1970s and 1980s.
Same question for me?
Yes.
Okay. So something I call these things, people become typing terrorists. And I'm being serious, because they can get behind a keyboard, and because you can't see them, they say vile things to you. And so the suffering is done in silence. It would be normally when you would have somebody, you know, back in the day, they used to be getting on you. You had people who could rally around you right then and there. A lot of times when you're getting this cyberbullying, it's done in silence. And even when you block somebody, They come on somebody else's account and give you the same thing. And so this is why we started Anonymous Alerts, like to have this conversation, because this is a real thing and people are suffering. It's just different, right? And so we have to meet that moment. We have to recognize that. And actually, listen, if I had one thing to add, I have a full-time social media person on the campus, because that is how much we have to review. But it is important that we review that. You're going down a rabbit hole a lot of times, but it is important that we review it and that kids know that they can come to us and that we will give help and provide aid for them.
Audience, both in person and virtual, I know that we have so many questions for our candidates, but for tonight, we are going to give them a round of applause. Let's give our candidates, Principal Burgess, Superintendent Hannah, thank you so much for being in the hot seats tonight. We know that you are both pros at this, but also know how important it is to be a part of these forums, and we thank you. We want to thank our moderators, Michelle, Ruby, and Paula. Our timekeepers. Special thanks to all our volunteers with the Junior League of Tallahassee and the entire Women and Girls Collaborative that helped make tonight a success. We would like to recognize and thank Seminole sitters. And I'm just gonna take a moment, because one of the things that surprised people about tonight when I invited them to this forum was that there is free childcare. We wanted, as a collaborative, we wanted to make sure that there is an opportunity for every person who wants to be a part of this conversation to be here. And if childcare, our children are never a barrier, but being where we would like to be and having them there and cared for sometimes is. So thank you to Seminole Sitters for sponsoring childcare for all of our forums. A couple more announcements is a special thanks to the Center for Leadership and Service, Dr. Joy Phillips and Dr. Aaron Sylvester Philpott, for their continued support of positive social change in our community and the use of this beautiful Globe Theater tonight. And this is not the end of our forums, even though it's the end of tonight. We are hosting one more forum for local elections next Tuesday, October 8th at the downtown Leon County Public Library, again at 5:30 with the City Commission candidates. And we hope to see you there. Dinner and childcare will also be provided. Remember, the last day to register to vote for the general election is Monday, October 7th. So please visit our local Leon County Super of Elections website for more information on how to register, or check your voter registration status. All of us voters, we're in the home stretch. Can you feel it? Yes. It's been a pleasure to serve as your MC again. I'm Tamara Smith, co-founder of Women Wednesdays. Our mission is to support women in all of their endeavors and their voices. So make sure that you look up and go online, follow all of the organizations in the Women and Girls Collaborative. We thank you for taking the time to join this evening. Please, online, you can share this live stream. It will live online. You can go on any of our Women Wednesdays, Oasis, Center for Women and Girls, or on the Tallahassee-Leon Commission on the Status of Women and Girls Facebook page as well. You can share this with anyone who's missed it. And we just want you to be informed voters. So thank you for joining us, and good night.